What is up, my friends? Welcome back to the Formula Podcast with your friendly neighborhood host, Trevor Carlson. I share with you my experiences, experiments, and conversations around designing a fulfilling life and whatever that means for you. I used to ask myself this question, am I good enough? And after a conversation with my friend, Katie Shepard, while we were meeting up in Albania, I decided to write this essay. Now, if you'd rather read the article, then hit the link in the show notes and check it out there. It's it's kind of a personal essay for me because it's a question that I've asked myself over and over again as I'm about to embark on a project or something that is meaningful to me, something that I care a lot about, when usually some type of fear or imposter syndrome or something along those lines pops up. So I'm excited to share this essay that I wrote with you. Let's hear a quick word about our sponsors before jumping into the essay, and then we'll get the show on the road. The first sponsor for this episode is Lady Boss. Lady Boss is a women's fitness and health company that really tries to provide as many resources as possible to help women live the healthiest lives possible. So if you want to check out some of their free resources, you can head on over to theformulapodcast.com's sponsored products page and click the link there to head to their website and see what types of different free guides and workout plans, stuff like that they have available for you. Now, our second sponsor for this episode is Liquid Web. If you've listened to any of our episodes about launching your own e-commerce company or an online business, they have these like pre-made solutions for you that you can just go on over and sign up for. Now, if you check the show notes, they provided Formula Podcast listeners with a little bit of a coupon code, so you can just check out the show notes. I believe it's Formula 33. You get 33% off all Liquid Web products. So, big shout out to them for hooking us up. Now, let's get on with the show. Am I good enough? An essay on imposter syndrome. I was walking back from a bar in Tirana, Albania, with a few American guys I met in Bosnia and a young British videographer I met in Thailand when she looked at me and said, "Thank you for supporting my work. It means a lot. Sometimes imposter syndrome makes me feel like I'm not good enough." Now, this kind of surprised me because this is coming from someone who has recorded footage from amazing dives around the world. And she's recorded snowboarding in the Slovenian or Slovakian, I can't remember which, mountains, and whose videos are just absolutely gorgeous. I was a bit surprised to hear this, as I've always been impressed with her work. But this goes to show that anyone can be affected by imposter syndrome. For example, I used to ask myself this one awful question every time I thought about doing something important. Am I good enough to do this? My own version of imposter syndrome. That question would cripple me with self-doubt and I would freeze. It has been a bit of time since I felt this way, and I believe that is because of the somewhat crazy leap I made around 12 months ago to cast aside most of my worldly possessions and to embrace somewhat of a nomadic lifestyle. It was by far the most difficult thing that I've ever done. I had never lived outside of the little state of Iowa, much less barely stepped foot outside of the United States. So the most logical thing I could do was to live out of a bag internationally, right? I had no idea what the hell I was doing, as many of my early friends along the way would tell you, and I wasn't the best at listening to other people's advice. I thought I needed to figure things out on my own, and that thinking caused a lot of poor preparations and headaches I could have avoided. I knew that I needed to take this leap, and it is what I had to do since I took the time to read Paulo Coelho's Alchemist the first time I was in the Rocky Mountains outside of Boulder. I know that sounds a bit woo-woo, but the book and hiking on that trip gave me some clarity that I wanted to see all these different parts of the world I'd read about. Since I left the US, I've really been trying to figure out the direction I want my life to take. I've been experimenting, and I found that this imposter syndrome, or question of am I good enough, has really changed its tune. Instead of hesitating or thinking my way into paralysis like in the past, I think of what my values are and the future I would like to live. Is what I am going to do going to get me closer to that or farther away? What do I want my impact to be on those around me and my family? These thoughts now consume my decision-making process instead of wondering whether or not I'm good enough, because truly, it does not matter. It doesn't matter if we are good enough or not. We have to start somewhere, and truthfully, we are probably not ready at the beginning of our career or journey to accomplish these big goals. That's the whole point of taking the journey and getting started in the first place. We will never get there if we don't start. Suck at it first, fuck up a few times, and get a little bit better one step at a time. I worried about the judgment of others and thought very short term. Well, what if this podcast isn't very good? The truth is that it wasn't very good. If it was that good, I would be at the top of the iTunes charts getting speaking engagement offers and book deal opportunities left and right. But no one is beating down my door. That just means I have to get better. But I can't get better if I don't start. I hope that I can look back a year from now and I'm embarrassed at the quality of the episodes and the content that I'm putting out, because that just means I've continued to improve and to get better over time. I'm going to say this one more time to really drive the point home for myself, even more for people listening. It truly does not matter how bad we are at whatever it is we want to do today, only that we think and act long term, to put our art or skills into practice every day so we can earn the right to be great in the future. The only question is, what is going to be that thing we invest our time in so we can create the future that we want? That was kind of a tough essay for me to write and to share with everyone, but I really appreciate everyone taking the time to tune in. It's not easy when we struggle with imposter syndrome or whatever term that you give it. We can all use a little bit of support from those people around us who see us creating our work. At the beginning, especially even when things aren't the best, a little encouragement can go a long ways. When was the last time we pulled someone aside and complimented them or encouraged them who was at the beginning of their journey? You know, if I can throw down the gauntlet for myself and for anybody out there listening, it's just to maybe take the time this week to pull someone aside that you know is maybe earlier on the quality of their work is improving, and let them know that you know that you have their back, and encourage them, push them to go farther, because it really can make a big difference. And let me know how it goes. Just shoot me an email, trevor@theformulapodcast.com. Now, if you have a few minutes, head on over to your podcast app and throw us a review. That'd be really helpful for us. It really helps us to climb up the charts, and listeners just like you can find us. Now, that's all for this week's episode, and I look forward to you stopping by next time.